Detective Marcus Hale tightened his grip on the leash as his K9, Vega, froze at the edge of the mall's glass bridge. Below, the atrium stretched like a chasm, illuminated by the harsh glare of abandoned skylights. Vega's low growl vibrated through the floor, eyes locked on something moving far beneath the surface, a shadow that shouldn't exist. The wind from the open doors whispered across the empty mall, carrying a faint metallic tang that made Marcus's stomach knot. He had learned to trust Vega's instincts, but this hesitation felt different, alive, deliberate, and unmistakably dangerous. The mall had been dead for years. Its parking lot, cracked and littered with dead leaves, stretched into a mist-shrouded horizon where pine trees clawed at the sky. Marcus Hale parked his aging SUV near the main entrance, its headlights barely cutting through the gray fog that clung to the asphalt like a second skin. He adjusted his coat and glanced down at Vega, a sleek German shepherd, whose ears were perked and nostrils flaring. The K9 had been Hale's partner for 4 years, and in that time, he had never hesitated like this. Never refused a command. But now, Vega's paw hovered inches from the polished edge of the glass bridge that spanned the atrium like a suspended runway. The bridge was the mall's only connection between the upper and lower levels, a walkway that offered a dizzying view of the abandoned stores and shattered glass below. "Come on, boy," Marcus murmured, trying to mask the unease creeping up his spine. "We need to check it out." Vega growled low, a vibration that rolled through the floor. His gaze didn't waver, fixated on something beneath the glass. Marcus swallowed hard. "What the hell is it, Vega?" He took a cautious step forward. The glass felt solid under his boots, but it seemed to shiver beneath Vega's paws. The faint reflection of the fluorescent lights above made the shadows below dance. Marcus leaned over the railing, squinting through the grime-streaked glass. At first, he saw only the skeletal remains of mall benches and shattered mannequins, relics of a forgotten consumer dream. Then he noticed it, a movement that didn't belong. A shadow, slick and sinuous, sliding across the atrium floor. He froze. "Marcus, you see that?" The voice came from behind. It was Deputy Lila Moreno, the newest recruit assigned to assist him. She stepped lightly onto the bridge, her flashlight cutting a thin line through the dust-laden air. Her brown eyes were wide, cautious. "Yeah," Marcus whispered. "But it's not a person. Something's down there. Vega senses it too." Vega's growl rose in pitch, ears flattening. Marcus reached for the collar, but the dog stiffened, almost as if rooted to the spot. His instincts screamed at Marcus to step back, yet curiosity, that relentless human flaw, pushed him forward. "You think we should call it in?" Lila asked, her voice low but trembling slightly. Marcus shook his head. "Not yet. Something doesn't feel right. I want to see this firsthand." They moved slowly, the only sound the crunch of debris beneath their boots. The mall's upper level was a mausoleum. Stores had been looted, signage torn down, and the occasional skeleton of a chair or overturned kiosk hinted at the chaos that had once filled this space. Flickering emergency lights cast long, jerking shadows, turning every corner into a potential threat. At the far end of the bridge, Marcus paused. Vega refused to advance. The dog's hackles were raised, lips curling, teeth bared in a silent warning. Something was below them, something deliberate. A sudden thud echoed from the atrium floor, resonating like a heartbeat. Lila jumped. Marcus's hand went to his pistol, though he didn't draw it yet. The sound was followed by another, a scraping, wet, metallic noise. Something moved beneath the glass, following no natural path. "Did you see that?" Lila whispered. Marcus nodded, forcing his voice to stay calm. "Yeah. Something's down there. We're going to have to find another way." The lower level had multiple staircases, but as they approached the nearest set, the air grew colder, heavier. The smell hit first, a sharp metallic stench that made Marcus's stomach twist. Blood. Or rust. It was impossible to tell at first, but instinct screamed at him that the odor was alive, lingering, recent. "Vega," Marcus commanded softly. "Heel." The dog obeyed, but only partially, moving a few steps closer before stopping again. His hackles remained raised, lips curled, teeth exposed. The growl now had a tone of recognition, not just fear. "Recognize what?" Marcus muttered under his breath. They reached the bottom of the stairs, the lower level bathed in a grayish haze. Broken glass crunched underfoot, and the smell of decay intensified. The floor below the glass bridge appeared warped in places, like it had absorbed some dark liquid and never fully dried. Shadows twisted unnaturally, and Marcus could swear some of them moved against the angle of the light. Lila shone her flashlight across the floor. A smear of dark liquid caught her eye, stretched across the polished tiles in a jagged streak. She gasped. "Blood," she said, almost too quietly. Marcus knelt, examining it. Fresh. And then they saw the first body. It was small, hunched, almost fetal, with its back pressed against a broken support pillar. The face was obscured, twisted grotesquely. One arm was extended unnaturally, as if reaching for something, or someone. The sight was enough to make Lila step back, covering her mouth. Vega barked sharply, a single, clear warning. Marcus scanned the room. There were more movements beneath the shadows. Not human, but not entirely animal. Sinister, deliberate. They crept toward a section of the floor beneath the bridge. The faint reflection of overhead lights revealed patterns, marks carved into the tiles, symbols that didn't belong in any mall architecture. "Ritual," Marcus muttered, his stomach dropping. He had seen enough crime scenes in his career, but this felt different. It was a signature of something primal, something that thrived on fear and control. "Do you think someone's still here?" Lila asked, her voice trembling. Marcus shook his head, but his gut didn't agree. He had a bad habit of trusting instinct, and right now, it screamed that they were not alone. A sudden click echoed from the glass bridge above. They looked up. Nothing. Then, a shadow flickered across the ceiling. Vega's growl escalated into a low, threatening bark. The dog's body tensed as if ready to pounce. Marcus followed his gaze, and his heart sank. Through the glass, a figure moved beneath them. Not running, not hiding, gliding. Its shape was human, yet wrong. Too long, too fluid. Its movements defied gravity and reason. And it paused directly under the bridge, staring up at them with eyes that glinted with intelligence, malice, and hunger. Marcus's pulse quickened. "We need to leave. Now." Lila hesitated, frozen by the apparition beneath the glass. Marcus grabbed her arm. "Move. Trust me." But Vega didn't budge. The dog's stance was immovable, protective yet defiant. And then Marcus noticed the worst part: the shadow wasn't alone. Tiny movements flickered around it, crawling along the floor like insects. He blinked, trying to make sense of what he saw. Some were bodies, something else. Some of them, alive. A whisper echoed through the atrium, low and guttural. It was a sound that scraped at the inside of Marcus's skull, bypassing rational thought. He couldn't tell if it was a voice or a collection of voices, chanting or calling, inviting or warning. Lila shrieked, stumbling backward. Marcus pulled her toward the stairwell. "Go!" he yelled. The shadow moved beneath the glass. Faster. Deliberately toward the edge. And then, with a speed that seemed impossible, it vanished into the darkness of the lower corridors. Marcus's hands shook. Vega whined once, but didn't follow the figure. Instead, he pressed his nose to the glass, growling and whining, ears flat. "Whatever that was, it's not human," Marcus whispered. His own voice sounded foreign, fragile. "And it's waiting for us." Lila's hand trembled as she pointed toward the symbols etched into the tiles. "What are those?" Marcus knelt beside them. He had seen ritualistic carvings before, but these were old, ancient. A mix of pagan geometry and something darker, more deliberate. A warning, or an invitation. "I don't know," Marcus admitted, feeling the cold press against his spine. "But whatever it is, it's been here a long time, and it's awake now." Vega barked, and Marcus felt the weight of the moment settle in. They were no longer investigating a closed mall. They were inside a hunting ground, and whatever hunted there did not want to be found. It wanted to watch, to choose, and maybe, to feed. A distant sound, a scraping, dragging, a whisper of movement, echoed from the far end of the atrium. Marcus's stomach dropped. Something big was moving, and it was coming toward them. He drew his pistol. Lila fumbled for her flashlight. Vega stood rigid. And for the first time in his career, Marcus felt true, unfiltered fear. Because whatever lived beneath the bridge was waiting. The air of the lower atrium was colder than Marcus had imagined, sharp against his lungs, carrying that metallic tang that made his stomach churn. Vega's growl never ceased, a low, constant vibration beneath the bridge. Every instinct Marcus had screamed that they were being watched, closely, deliberately, almost intelligently. Lila trembled, flashlight cutting through the shadows in spasmodic movements. Her wide eyes darted from one shattered storefront to another. "Marcus, do you think it's human?" He shook his head, the weight of doubt pressing down. "I don't know. Not entirely. But there's intelligence there. Malice. And it's feeding off this place, somehow." They moved cautiously, careful not to step on the jagged glass or debris. Every step was a negotiation with the unknown. The sound of dripping water echoed from somewhere deeper in the mall, each drop a metronome counting down to some unseen horror. Marcus noticed the floor under the glass bridge again. The movement they had seen earlier hadn't been random. Tiny, deliberate scratches had formed intricate patterns in the dust. Symbols Marcus didn't recognize, half geometric, half organic, almost as if the building itself had been claimed by something alive. "Why would someone, or something, carve these?" Lila whispered. "I've seen ritualistic carvings before," Marcus said. His voice was low, distant. "They're old. Very old. But nothing this alive. Nothing this focused. Whoever did this, or whatever it is, it's waiting." As they moved deeper, the first set of bodies became clearer. Not just one, but several, scattered in patterns that were almost theatrical. Limbs bent at unnatural angles. Faces obscured by makeshift masks. Some were barely human, bruised and broken, as if they had been altered for some twisted ceremony. Marcus swallowed hard. Vega's growl escalated into a whine of frustration and anxiety. The dog kept nudging Marcus, urging him forward but also warning him not to cross certain invisible boundaries. Then they saw it, a figure crouched near a collapsed storefront. At first, it looked human, hunched and still. But as Marcus adjusted his flashlight, he saw that its head turned sharply, almost unnaturally, toward them. Eyes glinted, reflecting the beam. "Stop," Marcus hissed. Vega barked sharply. The figure didn't move like a human would. Its limbs were too long, its body too fluid. And then it spoke. "Why do you come here?" The voice was low, rasping, but with a rhythm that suggested intelligence, a mind capable of thought and malice. Lila gasped. What are you?" Marcus raised his pistol. "Stay behind me, Lila. Don't provoke it." The figure tilted its head, almost in amusement. "You see, the bridge is not just glass. It is a barrier. A thin one. I've been waiting. What do you want?" Marcus demanded, his pulse hammering. "To be seen," it said simply. "And to choose." A shiver ran down Marcus's spine. The hairs on the back of his neck stood rigid. He had dealt with killers, psychopaths, and cults, but nothing like this. Something about the way the figure moved, thought, and spoke made human evil seem tame. Vega growled louder, his teeth bared. The dog's body trembled, not with fear, but with tension, as if ready to pounce but aware it could not touch the creature safely. Marcus felt a sudden cold rage. "You're not going to hurt anyone else," he said, though the words felt hollow. The figure laughed, a sound like gravel sliding down a well. "Hurt? No. I am not here to hurt. I am here to remind." "Remind of what?" Lila whispered, her voice shaking. "Of fear. Of what lies beneath the comfortable surfaces you walk on. The glass you trust. The walls you hide behind. All fragile. All weak. All temporary." Marcus's mind raced. He knew the figure wasn't bluffing. Something unnatural, deliberate, and patient had claimed this space, and now they were caught in its gaze. A sudden, sharp noise, metal against metal, echoed from a nearby corridor. The figure flinched slightly, then turned its head toward the sound. Marcus and Lila followed its gaze and froze. A group of figures emerged from the shadows. Human-like, but twisted. Each step deliberate. One carried a lantern filled with a dim, greenish light. Marcus realized with a shock. They were not alone. "Who are they?" Lila whispered. Marcus shook his head. "I don't know. But they're part of it, whatever it is." The lead figure, the one who had spoken, raised its long, thin hand. The others froze instantly, as if obeying a command. The leader's eyes, dark, glinting, shifted back to Marcus and Lila. "Choices," it said. "You will choose. Or be chosen." Marcus felt a cold sweat break across his back. "We're not making any choices for you," he said, his voice steady despite the rising panic. The figure's lips curled into a mockery of a smile. "You already have." Then, one of the shadow figures stepped forward. Human hands, but elongated, tipped with claws. It held something in its hands, a small object wrapped in cloth. As it stepped into the dim light, Marcus realized it was Vega's old toy, the one he had carried everywhere as a pup, chewed and torn but beloved. "How?" Lila whispered. The creature tossed it lightly onto the floor. Vega growled, fur bristling. Marcus clenched his fists. "This is a warning," the figure said. "Do not trust your instincts too much. Not all that is loyal is safe." Then the figures melted back into the shadows, leaving Marcus, Lila, and Vega alone in the freezing, echoing silence. Marcus dropped to his knees, checking Vega, who was trembling but unharmed. "It's playing with us," he muttered. "Testing us." Lila shivered. "We can't stay here. We need to call someone. Reinforcements." Marcus shook his head. "No, not yet. If we bring others, we risk," his words trailed off. He didn't know what would happen, but he felt the weight of the choice pressing down on him. They moved cautiously toward the stairwell leading to a service corridor, hoping to circle back toward the back exits. The faint glow of flickering lights revealed more bodies, carefully positioned, almost ceremonially. Marcus felt bile rise in his throat. Each body told a story: pain, suffering, cruelty, intentional degradation. "This is a place of madness," he whispered. "And someone knew exactly how to use it," Lila added. Marcus nodded. "And maybe that someone is still here." A sudden sound froze them. Footsteps, light, deliberate, approaching from the far end of the corridor. Marcus raised his pistol, Lila trembling beside him. Vega growled low, ears flat. A figure emerged from the shadows. Human, fully clothed in dark, indistinct garments. Marcus noticed the scar along the side of its face, the cold, calculating look in its eyes. Not the shadow creature from the atrium, something else. Someone real. Someone human. "You shouldn't be here," the stranger said calmly. "And you shouldn't be here," Marcus replied, raising his weapon. The stranger raised their hands slightly. "Easy. I'm not your enemy. Not entirely. But if you continue down this path, you will be." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" The stranger hesitated. Then, almost reluctantly, spoke. "Call me Crow. I've been involved with this place longer than I care to admit. But it's bigger than me now. Bigger than anyone." Marcus felt a cold weight settle in his chest. "Involved how?" Crow's gaze swept over the ritual markings and the scattered bodies. "I helped hide it. 4 years. Thought I could control it. Thought I could contain it. But now, it's awake. And it's hungry." Lila gasped. You helped them." Crow's eyes hardened. "I did what I had to. Survival is messy. Loyalty is messy. But you don't understand the rules here. You will learn soon enough." Vega barked sharply, sensing the duplicity in Crow's tone. Marcus didn't lower his weapon. He knew instinctively that this person was morally gray, capable of both protection and betrayal. "And the bridge?" Marcus asked, voice tense. "Why wouldn't Vega cross it?" Crow's eyes flicked upward. "Because some boundaries are sacred. Some lines shouldn't be crossed. That shadow beneath the glass, it chooses who walks above. Your K9 knows this. You don't. Not yet." A whisper, low and eerie, floated from the atrium above. The shadow had noticed again. Marcus felt the hairs on his arms stand up. Crow nodded toward the stairwell. Go. Circle around. But remember, nothing is as it seems. Not the bridge. Not the shadows. Not me. Marcus didn't like it, but he had no choice. Lead the way, Vega, he said, gripping the leash tightly. The dog's body remained tense, growling low, eyes locked on the glass bridge above. But for the first time, Marcus felt that the bond of instinct and trust was stronger than fear. As they moved deeper into the maze-like corridors of the mall, Marcus knew the night had only begun. The shadow beneath the glass was patient. Crow's intentions were unclear. And Vega understood more than either of them ever could. The corridors of the abandoned mall stretched like veins beneath the dim, flickering lights, each shadow a potential threat. Marcus felt Vega's tension radiate through the leash. The dog's instincts had never been wrong, and now they were sharpened to a fine, trembling edge. Crow led them silently, his figure barely illuminated by the weak glow of a handheld lantern. Marcus noticed the way Crow's eyes darted to every corner, every broken storefront, as if reading invisible signs. But there was something else, hesitation. He wasn't just cautious, he was wary, almost fearful. "Why did you bring us here?" Marcus asked quietly, keeping his voice steady. Crow didn't answer immediately. "Because the bridge isn't just a barrier. It's a test. And the shadow beneath it, it chooses who crosses. You're being watched. Always." Marcus swallowed, gripping Vega's leash. So the K9 was right all along. Crow's gaze was hard. Instinct can see what the mind can't. You'll understand soon enough. As they approached the atrium again, the bridge loomed overhead. The glass floor gleamed with an unnatural clarity, almost polished by some unseen force. Below, the shadow waited. Still, patient, watching. Vega barked sharply, hackles raised. Marcus felt a cold dread settling deep in his chest. He had faced killers, cultists, monsters, but this was different. This wasn't just fear. It was judgment. Crow stepped forward, lantern casting long shadows over the ritual markings etched into the tiles. "Do you see them? Every symbol, every mark, has a purpose. The shadow, it's older than you, older than the mall itself. And it feeds on choice. Feeds on choice." Lila repeated, voice trembling. "Yes," Crow said, voice low, almost reverent. "It doesn't just hunt bodies. It hunts intent, morality, courage, and fear. Your K9, he senses it. He knows who is worthy." Marcus tightened his grip on Vega's leash. "And if we're not?" Crow's eyes darkened. "Then you become part of the maze. Forever. And nothing, no one, can save you." A sudden movement beneath the glass made Marcus freeze. The shadow had shifted, coiling like smoke, forming shapes that were almost human, almost monstrous. Its eyes glinted, intelligent and hungry. Vega growled low, chest vibrating. Marcus felt the dog's body tense, ready to spring, but restrained by his leash. Crow stepped closer to the edge. "The bridge is more than glass. It's a line. Cross it willingly, and you prove yourself. Hesitate, and you become prey." Marcus swallowed hard. Hesitation wasn't a choice. It was instinct, survival. But now, instinct demanded something more. Trust in Vega, trust in himself, and a confrontation with the shadow. "Vega," Marcus whispered. "We cross together. On my command." The dog's eyes met his, dark, intelligent, and unwavering. Marcus could feel the weight of every life Vega had saved, every instinct honed over years. The decision was mutual. "Now," Marcus said. Vega stepped onto the glass. The bridge shivered beneath his paws, a thin vibration, but he didn't falter. Marcus followed, one careful step at a time, his heart hammering. The shadows stirred beneath them, reacting to their movement. Shapes flickered, morphing into faces, twisted, screaming, reaching for them, but none could break the barrier. The glass held. For now. Halfway across, a screech tore through the air, a sound so primal it made Marcus's blood run cold. The shadow surged upward, coiling around the supports of the bridge, trying to intimidate, to assert dominion. Vega barked, fearless, and Marcus realized something crucial. Courage wasn't defiance. It was acknowledgment. The shadow tested, but it also respected those who faced it. They reached the far end. Marcus felt sweat sting his eyes, his muscles trembling with relief and tension. And then, a hand shot out from the darkness beneath the bridge. Not from the shadow, but from Crow. "What the hell?" Marcus started. Crow's eyes were hard. "I warned you. Not everyone here is loyal. Not even me." Before Marcus could react, Crow lunged. A struggle ensued, violent and desperate. Lila screamed, trying to pull Crow back, but he was stronger, faster, and fueled by something beyond reason. Vega leapt, teeth bared, pinning Crow against the railing. Marcus didn't hesitate. He struck, knocking Crow to the side. The human betrayed them. The shadow below paused, observing, almost curious, as if amused by the act of betrayal and human fragility. Crow hit the floor with a groan, staggering. His eyes, filled with both defiance and fear, met Marcus's. "You don't understand. It chooses." "I understand enough," Marcus spat. "You're done." The shadow beneath the glass stirred again, coiling tighter. Marcus realized its gaze was no longer threatening. It was waiting, assessing, almost approving. Vega's low growl shifted to a soft bark, a warning to keep moving, but also acknowledgement that they had survived the first test. Marcus, Lila, and Vega moved past Crow, who slumped against the floor, defeated but alive. There was no triumph in his eyes, only resignation. He had tried to manipulate the night, but the shadow beneath the bridge, patient and ancient, had claimed his intent, not his life. They reached the exit to the upper corridor. Light spilled in from broken windows, dawn filtering weakly through clouds. The air felt cleaner here, the oppressive weight of the mall receding. Marcus paused, glancing back at the glass bridge. Vega sat, staring down, still tense. The shadow didn't move. It didn't need to. They had crossed its judgment. "You okay?" Lila asked, voice shaking. Marcus nodded, but didn't speak. The bridge behind them was silent, the shadow still beneath the glass, waiting for the next choice, the next fear, the next human willing to walk blindly over it. "Vega, good boy," Marcus whispered, kneeling and stroking the dog's head. The K9 leaned into him, eyes still locked on the unseen depths below. For a moment, Marcus thought he understood the lesson. Survival wasn't just about instinct or courage. It was about trust, loyalty, and knowing when to walk forward, even when the world beneath you wanted to drag you down. Crow's groan echoed faintly from behind them. Marcus didn't look back. He had learned everything he needed to know. As they stepped into the early morning light, Marcus felt the weight of the night ease slightly, but the memory of the bridge, the shadow, and the choice lingered like a scar. Life in a small town often felt predictable, safe. But Marcus knew better now. Some places carried secrets older than the buildings themselves, patient and watching. And some choices were not really choices at all. Vega nudged Marcus's hand, and for the first time that night, he allowed himself to smile. A quiet, human smile, the kind that carries relief, pain, and an unspoken bond. Lila, still pale, managed a small grin. "We made it." "Yes," Marcus said softly. "But some part of this place will always be waiting." And beneath the glass bridge, the shadow waited, patient, eternal, ready for the next crossing. The night had ended. The bridge remained. And the lesson lingered. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to step forward anyway.